Folks, it is game week. Michigan football plays football this Saturday. Exciting times. We're here on Hail to the Podcast, brought to you by Maize Blue Review to talk about Michigan football, actual football, week 1, 2025. Learned a lot of things in the last couple days, especially here Monday. Sharon Moore met with the media, and the worst kept secret in football is secret no more, and actually a couple of surprises as well. So we're going to break it down, talk about a couple depth chart pieces. We're not going through the whole thing. We've done that enough, but just some of the things we learned today. And then we're going to talk about what we expect from Michigan football after 9 months of hypothesizing and predicting what this team could look like in 2025. We will find out in a few short days. So I am joined today by the guy I call our man in the sky who attends the games for us, Mr. Brock Heilig. Dude, I've said it 3 times in this intro, but
football's back, baby. Let's get it. It's a grind, but it's a fun one, and definitely looking forward to doing it all over again. And I feel like there's no better year to be excited about than this one with of course Bryce Underwood coming into the fold, and we're going to talk about him a ton, I'm sure, but really looking forward to it. And it's just the 4th time in school history that Michigan's starting a true freshman at quarterback, so I feel like we're watching history unfold right in front of our eyes, and it's very exciting.
Yep, 4th one. Hopefully it is much more Chad Henne and a little less Tate Forcier. Although I was at that Notre Dame game in 2009, and oh my gosh, I remember thinking, like, we got it. We got our quarterback. This is it. Some interesting parallels, though. Rich Rod's second year as well. Sharon Moore's second year. A lot of what do I want to say? Faith and I mean, this is Bryce Underwood's program, right? At this point, we've talked about it. I think since the spring game, I said, look, he's the face of this program already. I had never seen such an interesting reaction to a singular person since maybe Harbaugh's first game or first spring game, and in the big house. A night game atmosphere. Bryce Underwood, confirmed today by Sharon Moore, again, worst kept secret in college football, will be the starting quarterback. But man, he's going to come out of that tunnel for a night game at the big house, and what an environment it's going to be for Bryce's first game. First, your thoughts on him. Obviously, we haven't had you on in a while, just him taking over in general. And I mean, this decision process, I said they could have announced it earlier. I didn't understand, not announcing it. Behind the scenes, Bryce is getting the number 1 rep, so you're not getting Q with it. Everybody knew he was the starter. But Moore even said today, I think he was like 2 passes into that first scrimmage. Him and Chip Lindsey looked at each other and we're just like, yeah, this is our dude.
Yeah, it's been obvious. Everyone's known it for a while. I think, honestly, since he committed that day back in November when he committed, it was like, okay, there's your starter, because based on how Michigan's season was going up to that point, they had no quarterback. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you flip the number 1 recruit in the country. I think everyone expected at that point, this is our guy. This is who's going to start, So that's been the expectation, I feel like, from a lot of people for a while now. And today it became officially official. And Saturday night, you're right. It's no better atmosphere than Saturday night for Underwood to make his debut. And I feel like when he first runs out of that tunnel, even if it's for warmups, you're gonna hear it in the crowd. Even if there's only 10,000 people in the stands, you're gonna hear it because they all crowd around the tunnel there. And once he runs out for warmups, you're gonna hear it, and you're gonna know 19's in the house, and everyone's gonna be looking forward to what he can do on the field.
Yeah, you're going to hear it. You're going to feel it. It's going to be pretty incredible. I think it's an interesting situation too, because as much as expectations are high for Bryce Underwood, there isn't this, like, I mean, we've used this term in the past, but like this savior pressure, if you will, right? Like Jim first coming when he first came to Michigan, JJ McCarthy to an extent, right? Like maybe even Shea Patterson, arguably in 18 to some point. Yeah. I think people are being reasonable about the fact he's a freshman quarterback, but I don't know, maybe it's how bad the quarterback play was last year. So that creates such a low floor that, like, people are really excited about it, and they have really high expectations, especially over his whole career. But you're not seeing people, unless they're being sarcastic, being like Heisman winning, Bryce Underwood. I think people understand, like, it's going to take him some time. He might make some mistakes, and they're just excited to go through this process with him.
Yeah, you bring up a good point with Shea and JJ. I feel like those two in particular were kind of expected to come in and save Michigan from mediocrity, if that makes sense. Michigan
Yeah.
just couldn't get over that hump of they couldn't beat Ohio State. They couldn't, get to the college football playoff. They were just consistently mediocre, and it took Harbaugh a while, and eventually JJ was able to do it. But I feel like for Bryce, it's different because Michigan has been good. And of course, last year was bad. They didn't have a quarterback, but in 21, 22, and 23, they built that foundation. And I feel like that foundation has been carried into 24 and 25. It's just last year, Michigan had no quarterback to really carry out the offense, right? And to operate at the level that Michigan needed to win games. And so I feel like at this point, no one's really expecting Bryce Underwood to save Michigan from anything. I just think that
Mm.
people are realizing that, it's a true freshman. It's very rare that true freshmen are able to go in there and immediately take over and immediately become this big name in college football and do great things and go to the college football playoff and potentially win the national championship. I feel like it's been Trevor Lawrence and that's about it, right? And so people are understanding of that, and I feel like um, not all the pressure in the world is on his shoulders. He's just got to go out there and be himself and let the rest take care of itself.
I think that's a big piece of it. Go out there and be yourself, right? And a lot of it is, look, the momentum Michigan finishes last year with, but then offensively, you make the change at offensive coordinator. Sharon Moore says right away, like, okay, well, I mean, we know basically the bye week going to Northwestern that changes were already made, but Kirk's officially gone almost immediately after the season. You go get Chip Lindsey. Donovan McCulley comes in, Soup Campbell helping the wide receivers, Juan Castillo, all these things you've done on the offense to, again, raise the floor, if you will, from last year. The elite defense comes back. Look, Michigan fans have seen Cade McNamara being again. I'm not trying to, I mean, I think he had a really good year in 21. Okay. But Cade McNamara being the game manager wins a Big Ten championship.
Mm-hmm.
JJ McCarthy largely with a leash on him, if you will, in 2022, right? Wins a Big Ten championship. And even in 23, I don't know that anybody ever feels like JJ. I mean, they're still debating this to this day as he's about to start his NFL career with the Vikings, that we never really saw him throw a ton and we don't know how much he can do. They run it 28 times against Penn State. So if Underwood can come in and fill that game manager type role, but has the ability to extend plays with his legs and his arm, that could be enough this year to be in that 9-3, 10-2 range. We saw the Big Ten media days, or not media days. They used to call it like the bus tour. I don't remember what they called it now, but like the Big Ten network was in town.
Yeah.
And they said, look, this looks like a Big Ten contender, a CFP contender, obviously kind of depending on the defense being there, the offensive line, and what Underwood does. I think that's a fair expectation for this year, realistically, right? And I think one that Bryce is talking. He's got high expectations. I don't think anybody has higher expectations than Bryce does, but there's a way he owns it that doesn't feel, I don't know what word I want to look for, but you pair it with his work ethic and everything else you hear, and it feels like, hey man, this might actually work this year. Like we don't need like the 1 year bump kind of thing.
It could. I don't think it's unrealistic to think that Michigan could make it to the Big Ten championship game or to the college football playoff. You just need Bryce Underwood to go out there and, like you said, almost be a game manager. You don't want to restrict him or put his abilities in a box or anything like that, but he's just got to go out there and run the offense how it's supposed to be run, and take after Chip Lindsey's lead, and I think everything will be fine. What you don't want to see though is you don't want to see Bryce go out there and try and be Superman
Right.
and think he's got to do everything, because that's when things will get ugly. That's when you see bad interceptions and things that don't lead to winning, right? And so I think as long as he understands his role in the offense of just being the quarterback and staying within his abilities as a true freshman, I think he'll be fine. But if he tries to become Superman and take over games and make crazy, ridiculous throws, that's when things will get sketchy, and you'll see Michigan potentially drop a game they shouldn't, or falter late in the game when they have a chance to win, something like that. So there's a reason we've been talking about him this much, is because he's the most important player on the team this season, and he's got to realize that, but also understand that he doesn't have to be something he's not, right? And so it's kind of give and take a little bit there, but it's really not unrealistic to think that Michigan could go to the Big Ten championship, win the conference, go to the college football playoff, things like that, if Underwood is just himself, in my opinion.
I get so many 2022 vibes. The conversations we had about JJ. I think people forget there was this perception that, Cade was your steady hand and the guy that wasn't going to turn it over. And yeah, JJ was a playmaker, but it was a risk, right? That was the idea. There'd be so many more turnovers. And I mean, there's an expectation Bryce is going to throw interceptions because he's a freshman. And I've talked about before, to your point, throw some picks trying to make some plays, especially getting on the same page and some deep shots. Don't throw an interception when you've got points. Like, don't take points off the board, right? Don't throw an interception at a costly point in the game where it costs you, right? But do you have any concerns about Chip Lindsey being up in the booth? I saw some people pushing back on that. Freshman quarterback, would you rather have him on the sideline? Obviously there's going to be a couple coaches, Josh Senagoga, Travis Johnson, Russell, I can't remember his name now. I feel bad, but another quarterback assistant. They've got the phone. He'll be on the phone talking up to Chip. Me personally, I want Chip where he feels the most comfortable to call the game. But do you think that matters at all, Bryce not having him on the sideline with him?
I don't put a whole lot of stock into it. I agree with you. I think it matters most where Chip is comfortable. And if he's more comfortable in the booth, then that's where he is. If I remember right, that's where Kirk Campbell was last season, was in the booth. And yeah. And I'm not saying that's how everything's going to turn out this season. I'm just saying that happened last year. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like it would be good for Bryce to kind of have the offensive coordinator there on the sideline to talk with and to be coached up, after a drive. He goes out and, whether they score a touchdown or whether he throws an interception or punt or whatever it is, it'd be nice to have that kind of coaching and that presence there. But you're right, there'll be other guys there, other analysts, and they've got the phone and things like that. So I don't think it's a huge deal. Maybe if they try it out for a game and either Bryce or Lindsey don't like it, then maybe they'll switch. But I don't think it's going to affect a whole lot, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's pretty common. OSC is upstairs and DC is downstairs. It's usually, again, it is a preference thing, but like your average fan says, especially as a QB coach, if he was the wide receiver coach, he wouldn't care as much. I get it, but we'll see how they handle it. I don't think it's a massive deal, but so like I said, worst kept secret college football, but there were a couple surprises here. I mean, we've had some really good information and intel at Maize Blue Review this fall coming out of camp. Coaches and players have been candid. So this has definitely been the submarine, but nothing like we've seen in years past, which has been nice, I think, for folks that follow the team and want to be informed on it. But we'll start with wide receiver. We know Donovan McCulley earned the number 1 jersey and the number 1 spot. And we've been talking about this cluster of receivers behind him with Fred Moore, Samaj Morgan, Channing Goodwin, and Andrew Marsh. And that basically you just need one of those guys, ideally, to really break out and give you that true number 2 option. But, who from that group would rise? And Channing Goodwin has gotten a lot of hype this offseason. I'm not shocked at all that we said he's a possible sleeper, in fact, or a guy that could rise up. But it sounds like, I know he got mentioned 3rd and called wide receiver 3 after McCulley and Samaj Morgan. But what that really means to me is, okay, Samaj Morgan's got that slot job secure, but your wide receiver 2, your Z receiver, sounds like it's going to be Channing Goodwin week 1. Pretty impressive rise for the redshirt freshman.
It is, yeah. And it's really not surprising if you watch the spring game, and it seemed like they were targeting him every other play. I mean, they were constantly trying to get him the ball, just feeding him. I believe he was on the blue team with Underwood, and it just seemed like he was getting targeted all the time. And so good for him to, rise into that role. But like you mentioned, we've talked about it all off season. Michigan just needs one of these guys to really step up and be a factor. I think they're pretty confident in McCulley. They know what Samaj Morgan can do, even though last year was a little bit of a struggle for him as a freshman. He produced
he's been pretty candid about last year, Kirk versus Chip. So
yeah, he wasn't a big fan of really anything that happened last year, but we saw what Samaj Morgan can do as a freshman with JJ McCarthy as his quarterback, and I think Michigan knows what they have in him. And at that point, like you mentioned, it's just on one of the other guys to rise up. And at this point in the season, they're confident in Channing Goodwin, and we'll see what happens there. But like you mentioned, there's just a lot of other guys. We've talked about it all off season. The list is long, and
Right.
Michigan just needs to find one guy to really fill that third spot. And whether it's Goodwin, whether it's, I don't know, a freshman, Andrew Marsh or Jamar Browder, Marion Stewart, Kendrick Bell, Peyton O'Leary, whoever it is. I mean, you could just keep rattling them off. Just one guy step up, and I'll be really, really curious to see if Channing Goodwin is that guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's really had a pretty good transformation this offseason physically, and then sounds like he's been blocking well, running good routes. Detroit Lions fan nails it. Oh, I zoomed in. Sorry. It says Goodwin looks like the Z receiver should look. Yeah, you've got this like 6'1", 6'2", 205, right? Like strong receiver that can fight across the middle, but still a threat on the outside and deep, can move around, come in the slot. It's the same issue it's been with Michigan the last few years. It's the execution. Go out and do it consistently, right? Like Fred Moore should continue to be a factor, but it's been that consistency thing with him for a while as well. So I just don't. Yeah, because it's just kind of funny with the Goodwin news, but I don't want to see them rotate too much. Right. We've talked about, you just said it's a long list. Give me these 5 or 6 names. Those are the guys, right? If Kendrick Bell's another guy that is getting more praise as fall camp has gone on now that he's healthy. He's also that like 6'2", 205. He's added some muscle. If he's backing up McCulley, cool. It's, Fred Moore and Goodwin at the Z, maybe Andrew Marsh is in there too. And then Morgan and Simpson in the slot. That's it, in my opinion. Like, stop.
Yeah.
I want Bryce Underwood have some level of comfort when he comes out there to know which receivers are going to be there. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think both running backs add an element to the passing game, especially in Chip Lindsey's scheme, the tight ends with Klein, and then, hopefully Hogan Hansen health update today. Sounds like he's farther along than maybe we even thought too, maybe back week 1 or week 2.
Yeah.
And then, Hoffman and Zach Marshall, these guys we've gotten into, the bodies are there that, again, I'm with you. Give me one other solid receiver, and that's probably going to be enough. Will it be Goodwin? I don't know. We'll see. Marsh is returning kicks. Mm-hmm. I think that's a big deal from a trust factor with this staff. And I think a lot of people have said too, with wide receiver recruiting, like if we're being honest, the politics of it, you went out and got Andrew Marsh. He's got to play, and recruits want to see him play, right? So returning kicks early, and then it sounds like maybe earning a bigger role as it goes on. Quick pressure question, put it on you. Who ends up wide receiver 2 at the end of the year? Who's the guy behind, assuming McCulley's number 1? I think everybody's pretty locked into that. Who's the guy most receptions, yards, touchdowns, maybe whatever, the guy you feel like is that second targeted receiver?
Well, it's funny you say that because for the Michigan Football Reporter Roundtable that our good friend Scott Bell does, he emails everyone out and the questions. It's funny you say that because I actually took Samaj Morgan to lead the team in receiving yards. I don't know about receptions, but I've got him in receiving yards. So I guess that answers the question. I think it's Samaj Morgan as wide receiver 2 in terms of, if you want to say that McCulley is the undisputed 1, then you can go ahead and say that. But I'm high on Samaj Morgan. I really think he's going to have a solid year, and I think he's going to thrive in that slot role. I just have a good feeling that last year's behind him, and he's gotten a lot of hype this fall camp. People have constantly been saying, coaches and players, that he's really been impressing and shining. And so I think Samaj is going to have a really good year.
I do too. I wrote about it a couple times in the offseason, just some of the things with the numbers that we saw and how productive he was in terms of yards per route, his yak and things like that when used correctly. I had to check because I couldn't remember what I said to Scott as well. I agree with you because there is a chance, McCulley, we didn't see a real strong deep receiver when he was in Indiana. Now you could argue that could be his quarterback was Brendan Sorsby, but I think there's a good chance he's used a lot in the short, medium, and intermediate route and gets a lot of receptions, but somebody else beats him in receiving yards. I don't think that would be crazy. I do think Morgan has a good year, but I think somebody in that Z role. I've been high on Fred Moore for a long time. I've really thought if he could just lock it in and get consistent. Goodwin being or given this opportunity so early to me, though, I think Goodwin's going to be the guy. I mean, I
Yeah.
thought he was going to have to prove it on the field a little bit in terms of like we hear Sharon Moore say all the time, whoever's explosive is going to get more plays kind of thing. That level of confidence from Moore today kind of got my eyebrows up like, oh, okay. He looks the part. He's gotten the praise in fall camp. And you're saying like, all right, we're ready. I agree with Lions fan. I think a tight end is going to be right there for sure. Probably Klein.
It's a good
Hanson's
call.
got some of those that Colston Loveland potential in this offense in the slot in terms of being a deep threat on tight end. So like I said, hopefully he comes back healthy. Checking on questions here. Jason, who else returned kicks? Derek Alexander, who I've been comping March 2 since the signing. Interesting. Yeah, that's not bad because they both kind of had that like really long, interesting stride. I don't know if you watched Marsh's huddle tape a bunch or whatever, but he's got an interesting stride when he runs. It looks like really long, but he's quick, but like I don't know how to describe it. I think there's a term for it, like a long gait or something like that. Goodwin could be the Ronnie Bell, Roman Wilson. Yeah, I think that's a fair comp. Ronnie Bell, Roman Wilson type surprise in that role. Man, if he's catching 50 balls, 600 yards, getting close 8-10 touchdowns, that's a huge year.
That is huge. That's
huge.
massive.
Give me that. And a guy who could be here for a couple more years too. So
right.
Okay, let's get into it. Michigan fans love to freak out, and there was some freaking out today when Shermore commented on the offensive line. Again, I feel like we've had good intel throughout fall, and also the coaches have been candid about Evan Link at left tackle. Andrew Babalola confirmed is out for the year. I don't think he was starting at left tackle this year, but for a guy that hasn't played a ton of football, it's a bummer that he's not going to be a part of the football team this year. Josh had some good reporting inside the den about his injury. It sounds like it's been kind of your standard by the book ACL tear, nothing too crazy, so he should be able to bounce back. Giovanni El-Hadi returning to the left side this year at left guard. He's added, 25 pounds or something like that. You can see it in the pictures. He's bigger. Folks have said he's been stronger and mauling in camp. Good to see there. Greg Crippen, last year, kind of an interesting situation, gets hurt during camp, and then Dom Jadis, I still can't say it correctly, takes the starting job. They go back and forth. He's the starting center. Feels comfortable having that role locked up for a while. Right tackle, Andrew Sprague. We got a peek of him against Alabama last year. He's the tackle of the future that we've been excited about in that recruiting class and could be Michigan's best offensive lineman this year, realistically, right? So the right guard battle is interesting, right? Nathan Afobe has been there all offseason because Lawrence Hattar from Ferris State couldn't join till the summer, and then the expectation was those two would bat, right? In the meantime, Brady Norton has played some reps at left tackle that allowed Link to play at guard early in camp. He's played some left guard. He's played some right tackle. He played center as well so that Jake Garnera could get some snaps at guard. He's done a little bit of everything. And initially there was this talk like he might be a year away, but he's a good swing guy. Physically, what he's done, incredible. He's up to 310 pounds, something like that. Last week, just so guys give you guys some idea where we were coming from here on this, Lawrence gets moved to back up left guard. And that felt like, okay, Nate Afobe has won the right guard job. In reality, it was an opportunity for Brady Norton to get significantly more reps at right guard. Sharon Moore kind of said that he's the starter, but also said that Afobe's going to play as well. Josh has had some more intel again posted inside the den. If you're not subscribers already, guys, now's the time. On3.com, look up Maize Blue review. Join us $1 for the first week to give us a try. But this is a position battle that's going to bleed into the season. We're going to see both guys play Saturday. Were you shocked by the way Norton was referred to as a starter? Does this concern you? Is it bringing back vibes of last year where an Evan Link kind of came out of nowhere, where a Dom Jadis kind of came out of nowhere?
I was very surprised. Yes, it seemed like Afobe was the de facto starter at right guard. Like that's just what everyone assumed since spring ball when he took like all the reps at right guard. And so I was very surprised when Sharon came out today and said that Brady Norton is going to start at right guard. I don't know how much stock I put into the term starter because he's already admitted that Afobe is going to play on Saturday. So I don't know if it's going to be, Brady Norton plays the first half and Afobe plays in the second half, or if maybe they alternate drives. For all we know, Brady Norton is technically starting the game, but then Afobe comes in for the second offensive drive, right? So you don't know exactly what starter means, but it was very shocking to me, at least, when Sharon came out and said that Brady Norton will start at right guard. It does give me a little bit of deja vu from last year when everyone expected Greg.
It was my gut reaction too. I think it's hard not to feel that way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, everyone last year was expecting Greg Crippen to start at center, and very similar to what happened today and this week. Last week of fall camp, going into game week, Dom Jadis all of a sudden overtakes him in his starter. And of course, Crippen was dealing with some injuries there in fall camp, and that's kind of what led to that change. I don't know what Afobe's status is right now, but it does give me a little bit of those vibes, and it's a little bit concerning. I don't know how I feel about making. I don't know if I can call it making changes, because Afobe wasn't locked into anything, but most people were assuming that he was going to be the starter at right guard, and of course, we're not the ones that are in there every day watching practice, so we don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe Norton was pushing hard the entire time. You really don't know, but it does worry me a little bit. So I'm looking forward on Saturday to seeing what that split looks like. Are they rotating series? Is it Norton, then Afobe, then back to Norton, and they just keep alternating? Or does Norton play 2.5, 3 quarters, and then Afobe goes in once Michigan's up by 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, whatever it may be. So that's definitely something I'm going to be keeping my eye on.
Yeah, I mean, it was my gut reaction as well. It was hard not to feel that way because, yeah, we don't know what's happening every day, but we do know that Nathan Afobe has gotten the vast majority of right guard reps since spring, right? And even through fall camp. Like we knew it was a battle. That's fine. I think your average fan brings up a good point too. How long is it going to go on, right? The bigger issue is you're going to be rotating, apparently. Going into week 2 against Oklahoma, then Moore is suspended for weeks 3 and 4. You're on a bye. Is this dragging all the way, to week 5? I think it's a great point. And also, how much are you going to learn from New Mexico? Right now, Jason just posted it. I was going to say this. It's a great point. Like it's not a bunch of young guys that haven't played at New Mexico on the defensive front. Right. Like, but I just don't know how much. I don't know. I mean, I know it's in-game action that's different than practice. Where it is different, right? If my gut reaction is, oh my God, here we go again, and I'm trying to talk you back from the ledge, Michigan fan, here's where it's different. Brock brought up injuries. This was not an injury-caused change, okay? Like, Afobe didn't miss 2 weeks, then all of a sudden his job was gone, or like, whatever. That's not what happened. This isn't a player with no experience. Right. Dom had never played really. He was a former defensive lineman, right? Evan Link was a highly rated tackle, but didn't play the year before and kind of came out of nowhere with Andrew Gentry and was it Link? Would have been the other guy, name it right tackle, right?
Yeah.
No, Link. Who was it? There was 2 guys before Link. It was Andrew Gentry and brain fart. I can't think of who the other right tackle was. That's crazy. Jeff Percy,
yes.
Yeah, there we go. Who had some experience that started some games at left tackle, right? You're talking about FCS level, yes, but he was the highest rated FCS offensive lineman, according to PFF last year. He was a guy that came in that they had high expectations for. The line was, he's got to get the weight up. Well, he did that and did it quickly. What I think this is Michigan has long talked about find the 5 best offensive linemen. We'll figure out the positions later. And then it never really happens because a left tackle battle develops, you know who your guard is, your center, etc. So it really is just trying to find the right guard. You could make the argument that this staff thinks Brady Norton is one of the 5 best offensive linemen right now. And they're trying to potentially find a spot for him at right guard. I think you're also rewarding a guy who's done everything you've asked of him throughout spring, summer, and fall workouts and camp. And he's earned the shot at minimum, right? Has he already surpassed Afobe? I know Moore's comments might be able to be taken that way. I'll be interested to see what happens on the field. And I'm with you. Are we literally looking every drive to figure out who's coming out at right guard? Is that the level of change that we see? And then to your average fan's point, is there still uncertainty against Oklahoma? And then even longer than that.
Yeah. It's all really good. And this isn't something that you want to see bleed over that long, in my opinion. I mean, week 2, you got to be ready to roll in a really tough environment. Night game in Norman. It's going to be a raucous environment. I feel like you got to figure it out and go, right? And I wouldn't like to see it go any longer than week 1. I think you roll the ball out there, see what you see on Saturday, look at the film, and see how the guys practice the following week and the week leading up to Oklahoma, and make a decision there and at least stick with it for the Oklahoma game. I think you could get away with, maybe if you want to second guess yourself for Central Michigan and the weeks further on, then go ahead. But even then, you're going to Nebraska the week after Central, right? And so these are not easy games that Michigan can just go out there and beat everyone by multiple touchdowns, right? You got to get this figured out. And so it really can't be something that lingers too long.
Your average fan, another great point. To be fair, if it was going to be a position, I'd rather be the guard over tackle or center. I agree, right? You're switching who's hiking the ball every single time when it was Crippen and Dom last year. If you know who your tackles are and you're trying to figure out that 1/5 guard spot, okay, could be worse, right? Mm-hmm. Oklahoma, while we're talking about it briefly, put out their depth chart today, and it was bizarre. And even Oklahoma insiders are like trying to figure out, like, okay, is this like mini troll? Is this we're treating week 1 like a preseason game?
Did I see that Jaden Ott was the 3rd string running back?
Yeah, he's listed as RB3, and Taylor Tatum isn't among the top 4. Michael Fasusi was, I think it's Fasusi. I think that's how you say it. You guys who watch regularly know I am terrible with last names. Freshman is listed as the starter at left tackle. Similar to Babaloa talk, where I think people thought he would take that spot eventually as the season went on, but maybe not week 1 starter. So that's kind of an interesting piece. I was checking with some Oklahoma folks today, like, hey, not trying to troll you guys, but can you tell me like what's going on here? He's like, there's realistically still 4 spots on the offensive line. They don't know who's starting against Michigan.
Wow. So
could be worse, guys. And look, they got players. I'm just saying in terms of like finding something to freak out about, it could be worse. Mm-hmm. We're not going to talk a ton about the defense. This is a great opportunity for me to mention Josh's catchphrase here. When we've provided intel during the offseason and some different projection stuff and blah, 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 people have been like, well, anything new with the defense? Anything surprising? It's like, nope. It's been pretty textbook. Like what they're telling us is true and what's out there. Frankly, this defense, it is what it is.
Yep.
Josh at Michigan alumni dinner, so he might jump in. We'll see timing wise, but that's why he's not here tonight. Man, this group is just, it's what it is though. Yeah. It's been what we expect, right? This is a group that is very deep up front. We know they're going to rotate up to 10 across defensive tackle and edge. Maybe Trey Pierce being DT2 is a surprise to some, but again, that intel's kind of been out there. Trey Williams and Payne are guys that are going to rotate. Eda's going to rotate. Big Ike Iwuna is going to rotate, right? We know what Derek Moore is. Cam Brandt coming along, et cetera, et cetera. Linebackers, Ernest Hausman is physically bigger and as a leader, vocal, was named a captain. Not surprised. Barham seems more comfortable this year in the role they're going to utilize him. Cole Sullivan, breakout candidate, real shocker. You guys are going to be surprised when you see Cole Sullivan out there, right? I don't know. Rod Moore is coming along. We know that. Zeke Berry at corner, Metcalf and Curtis. The secondary being positionless and how they rotate. And then Jair Hill now living up to what has become CB1 hype and in some cases first round draft, NFL draft mock drafts. I mean, I guess for me, that's the question mark on the defense is exactly how this secondary looks. But man, otherwise, everybody just kind of feels like, hey, you know what we figured out last year, second half against Indiana? Yeah, we're going to do that this year.
Yeah, it's a good point, and you hit on it all. I mean, it's going to be an elite defense, and to borrow Josh's catchphrase, it is what it is, right?
So Michigan, by the way, check it. Fago.
There you go. Is that cream soda?
Yeah, dude.
That's good stuff.
There we go.
That's good stuff right there. But you're right. I mean, it's going to be a stellar defense, and they're expecting Ernest Hausman and Jayshawn Barham. I think it's actually pronounced Barham, by the way. I was going through the roster today, and they have pronunciations for some of the guys. I think it's actually Jayshawn Barham.
What do I say? Barham?
Yeah, we all said Barham like all of last season, but
well, it's actually pronounced. Any loyal Hail to the Podcast viewers will know that his real last name is Warhammer.
That's right.
Yep, Jason. There you go, buddy. Jayshawn Warhammer. Barham Warhammer. Actually, that makes more sense. Yeah, I like it. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, they're expecting Hausman and Barham to be potentially the best linebacker duo in the country. Mm-hmm. And you pair that with the defensive front that Michigan has with Derek Moore, TJ Guy, and Trey Pierce, Rayshon Benny, and all those guys rotating in, and the secondary being as good as it is too. It's going to be a really, really good defense. I would say the only thing that really caught me off guard the last few days with all the intel and depth chart stuff coming out was Wink Martindale on the Big Ten Network's training camp tour thing. Wink Martindale had no hesitation in saying that Jair Hill was cornerback one. Like it wasn't like he went out there and said, oh, Jair Hill is having a good camp and Zeke Berry's playing really well. We don't really know who's got the edge there. No, he said Jair Hill is the best cornerback that Michigan has. And we know as well, too, that Sharon Moore was hyping up Zeke Berry at corner at media days and all throughout the offseason, really saying they really like Zeke Berry at corner and that they really only want him at nickel if they need him there. It doesn't look like that's going to be the case because I think they're comfortable with TJ Metcalf playing nickel. But like you mentioned, it's really a positionless defense and a positionless secondary. And I mean, you can kind of get an idea of where guys are going to play. I think you're going to see Hillman and Curtis at safety with Metcalf at nickel, along with the two corners, at least until Rod Moore comes back. But there's a lot of guys back there that can rotate. And of course, JoJo Edmond and guys like that. Jaden Mangum has really had a nice camp, I've heard too. So they will have a lot of guys that will be able to rotate in there. And I mean, it's just going to be a really, really good defense.
I know, I'm so excited. Again, 22 vibes in a lot of ways. I know people are like, oh, Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant are gone. Yes. I think Rayshon Benny is going to surprise people. And maybe it's not a surprise. I mean, you go back and you look at whether it's the analytical stuff or just the numbers from when he actually played. Like, Benny's right there. Benny's good. He's a day 2 pick, maybe first round if he has a big year. Excuse me. But Graham and Grant were playing 60, 70 snaps in some games.
Yep.
You weren't getting their full potential. Both dealt with injuries at times. If you're having Benny, Pierce, Williams, Payne, right, which aside you've talked about before, the Benny, Williams, and Payne, that's 3 fifth-year players.
Yep.
Right? With Derek Moore Sr. on one edge, TJ Guy, 5th year on the other. That is a big, experienced front. And then Cam Brandt's coming in. I think Cam Brandt's going to be really good. Dom Nichols, like, you can't even talk about him. There's just not enough room.
Right.
Right? Like, and Barham, you're right. I do say it wrong. Barham getting more reps in that kind of edge spot. Cole Sullivan's a guy, I think, too. Mm-hmm. You're going to see maybe more of a Sam linebacker come up. We've been talking about versatility and flexibility with this team in recruiting for like 2 years, and here it is.
Yep.
Like their version of positionless. It's going to be crazy man. I'm like really excited about it. Mangum, another guy that's like actually had a really good camp, but it's like hard to talk about him with all these other names, right? Man, Rod Moore coming back healthy is such an interesting cherry on the sundae, if you will.
Yep.
Like last year, it's like, man, no Rod Moore. But we really needed Rod Moore back there. Now it's like, that'd be pretty cool if we got, the heart and soul of this defense to come back. That'd be cool.
2-time All Big Ten player.
Right.
No big deal.
No big deal. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Nice little addition.
Yeah.
So get a couple comments. Hopefully Wink isn't sliding our DTs out to the edge at random times this year. I'm going to feel a little different this year for a couple of reasons. One, I think the players are more prepared for maybe some of those exotic looks Wink could pepper in. Two, I think it could make more sense in the sense of like, I could see Benny playing a 3-4 defensive end on snaps. I could see Etta moving outside, Derek Moore moving inside. Some of those flexibility pieces existed. Taking Mason Graham, the best 3 tech in the country, out of position to stand him up on the edge, that was too much for me. Right. So yeah, that is a fair point. Like Wink and the players all kind of acknowledged like there was a learning curve and Wink had to understand these weren't NFL players. Does he circle back on some of that stuff, you think? Like, or, I mean, he has to, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he did. And I think it goes back to your point about flexibility and players being able to play multiple positions. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you see potentially Derek Moore on the inside or Enoetta on the outside, those type of things. Trey Pierce maybe on the outside. You never know. I do think, yeah, you're right. It got a little bit out of hand last year when you see Mason Graham. Mason Graham at some points was like closer to the slot receiver than he was the offensive tackle. And it's like, all right, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see. I think Wink learned a lot last year, and you saw that play out in how Michigan's defense played in the last few games of the season. Like you mentioned, It was the second half of that Indiana game. I mean, things started to click. You could see it. I mean, it was as evident as anything, right? And so I'm excited to see what he's going to take from last year's learning experience and how he applies that to this year and this year's defense. And I'm really looking forward to watching it on Saturday.
Yeah. And I think there's some not pressure, this is the wrong term, but Lamar Morgan as well with the secondary. We've heard him talking about basically every guy that comes into this group now is getting reps at nickel because he wants, whether you're standing at corner, safety, or nickel, he wants you to know what those other guys are looking at and thinking in that spot and be able to react. Because we saw, was it USC, the touchdown where the guy goes in motion and Barry blitzes and there's somebody wide open?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that's going to be eliminated, right? So a guy like Elijah Dotson comes in, people think he's a safety. He posted something, I don't know what he was being interviewed by, but it was like on Instagram, a short about him talking about, man, like I came in and they showed me this nickel position and it's like way more in depth and learning this and that. And now he's a guy they feel comfortable with at corner and can slide in and out of nickel, maybe drop back safety, etc. So I think there's going to be a lot more cohesion with that secondary group this year as well. So yes, I think you remember, I could find the clip right now, I bet if I needed to, where he literally bolts the other way because he knows that's where the ball is going, but for some reason he's not lined up over there. Just infuriating. I want Wink to use Hillman in the blitz packages. I think he could put the fear in dudes.
Yeah.
Braden Hillman's one of my favorite players on this defense, and another guy I feel like we rarely talk about, like, the hitman, right? Been some talk about him maybe not always laying the biggest hit ever. He had some close calls last year that textbook weren't called targeting, but you could easily see, hair this way, hair that way, and all of a sudden you're tossed from a really, really big game. But Hillman just likes hitting people. This is such a good fit in this defense. And he's a guy, you kind of touched on this, but like when you have this defensive front and this linebacker group, he can kind of do some Jabril Peppers type stuff and just kind of read and react. He's got a little bit more freedom because of what he's got in front of him. That's exciting for sure.
Yep.
So, all right. Do you want to touch a little bit on the game itself? We've kind of peppered this in as we've gone. But Michigan's facing New Mexico. This program in transition, first year head coach from Idaho, Jason Eck, I believe it is, right? Brought some folks with him, 50 something transfers. The two deep is just it littered with new names. I think there was like 4 total returning starters or something like that. There are some good players, right? So Jack Lane's the quarterback that came from Idaho. Anybody who's watched New Mexico in the past, I think this is going to be very different. They're not going to have much of an option game. He's more of a stand in the pocket passer. Their offensive line is in transition. I think this defensive line group for Michigan is going to have a chance to eat. But hey, New Mexico's got a couple backs as well. Transfers. Sorry, I'm trying to look it up so I don't look like an idiot. Yeah, Humphrey from Montana State. He was one of the better FCS backs, was a big name in the transfer portal that they landed. Literally, New Mexico. Oh, God. I just thought of The Simpsons. Homer's looking at a map. He goes, hey, do you know there's a New Mexico now? Yeah, a lot like UNLV a couple years ago. Yeah, I think that's probably a fair comparison. Look, they're favored by what I haven't looked recently, 34, 35 points.
Yep,
something like that. Yeah. So the over-under is probably like 50, 42-6, 42-7 kind of game. Obviously, I don't want what happened at Fresno State last year, where we were like convincing ourselves that's not the offense. That's not it. They were using it like a preseason game. That's not going to be what they do, right? It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. It's okay.
That turned out to be one of only 2 games all season that Michigan scored 30 points. So it actually, if anything, got worse. But yeah, I don't know. When I first saw that line of whatever it is, 34.5, Ralph is saying it's up to 36.5 now. I think it depends on what you look at. On 3, we recently signed a deal with BetMGM, and so
yes, use BetMGM. But no,
yes, we're using.
I'm not gonna. Don't do that. Don't do that. I don't have the read. I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay, all right. Well,
and they needed a pick 6. That's a good point. They were testing Will, and he finally got it. That's right.
That's true. Yeah, but I was really shocked when I saw that line. I thought, Michigan surpassed 30 points twice last season, and here they are in game 1, expected to win by about 5 touchdowns. I don't know. I don't know if I see that. I mean, I know Underwood's going to provide a spark at quarterback, but I just don't know if I'm there with that offense yet. The defense is going to be elite. I'd be shocked if New Mexico scored more than a touchdown.
Right.
But I don't know if I see Michigan covering a 5 touchdown spread. So
I think it's going to be right there. Yeah, I'm with you. I think 6 or 7 is the number for New Mexico, if not a shutout, depending on how things go. And it just really depends what Michigan does, because they can come out here and win this game by running the football and allowing the offensive line to assert itself. And Bryce can do enough damage with some RPO, some play actions, some short, easy passes. Or this could be his Hawaii game. Right? And the motivation was maybe a little different then, where I think everybody knew JJ was the starter. Right. Sharon Moore actually admitted recently they knew earlier JJ was the starter, but he had missed all offseason. Cade, we could have a whole show about how Cade had carried himself and what happened after. But Cade's like, hey, I won the Big Ten last year. I'm the starting quarterback. Right. And I think Jim knew benching him for JJ in that situation would be uncomfortable. So we're going to let you both play. Takes advantage of the softer schedule.
Yep.
And he allowed JJ. There was no doubt.
No.
I mean, even if you're Cade McNamara's best friend, right? Hi, Don. Did you catch that? That's pretty good.
The throw that JJ had to Roman in like the first 2 minutes of that Hawaii game, just right down the seam for 50 yards or whatever it was. That was when everyone knew.
Fair. You're average fan. Fair. No shot. Jim knew something was like uncomfortable. That's a good point.
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, everyone knew JJ was it in 2022, right? So,
but they let him put the doubters to rest,
right.
right? That doesn't necessarily exist this year, right? Bryce is the guy. People knew it. He doesn't have anything to prove against New Mexico, but like, I don't want to hear ever again about saving the playbook or, you know, we're going to do more of this as it goes on and blah, blah. I don't want to hear it ever again. Like, you're not going to hurt yourself because Bryce hits a deep shot.
Right.
Like, that's not going to hurt you down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Tendency breakers, all of this stuff is how you get teams. Just like, do you think New Mexico was shocked today that Bryce was named the starter? No. Oh, crap. This messes up our game plan. Like,
yeah. Yeah, you're right. That's something Harbaugh would like to do was he'd find every competitive advantage he could. Was it 2017 when no one knew if it was going to be Spate or O'Korn against Florida? Was that year when literally like 10 minutes before the game they're like,
no, 16 when Spate first started, because 17 was the year after Spate had started and he got hurt. So 16 was Spate versus O'Korn. And they came back from commercial break and they're like, well, it's Wilton, because Harbaugh was beating the shit out of his shoulder pads. That's how we knew he was the starter. Right. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah. He was crazy. He would do anything he could to gain any sort of competitive advantage. And, you know, this year, like we led the show off with, the secret was out. Everyone knew. New Mexico wasn't surprised by what Sharon said. They knew it was going to be Underwood, and so did everyone else in the country. So, you know, I think I've seen people asking if, you know, if he needs.
He's right. Spate against Hawaii, his first, there was a pick. That's right.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I do remember that.
Oh man.
And I think they won like 63-0 or whatever at the end, but that's right. Because he came to the sideline and it was like, oh no. So good.
I'll need to go back and watch film.
I don't know. I want to go watch 2016 versus Hawaii. We can get some Darbo. Darbo was so good that year. So good. That's right. Chris Evans dude, this is so funny. Chris Evans breakout, 3 touchdowns running behind Ben Bredesen at the time.
Yep. Wow. It's fun to reminisce, isn't it?
It is. Let's watch it. Yeah. All right. We'll put BYU on too while we're at it.
Yeah.
Okay. Where is it? I gotta start marking these comments so I don't look like an idiot when I'm looking for them. Derek said something about he's sticking around just for the Circuit City football neck of the week. We will have a Circuit City football neck of the week. Don't worry. Got that coming up. Jasper Parker coming out party. Yes, that was confirmed as well. Sounds like he's going to be RB3. I think that's great news. I like Micah Cobb on a speed. He's got to be utilized in some aspect, but all things go well. Haynes is going pro, and you have a running back room of Jordan Marshall, Jasper Parker, and Savion Hyder next year. Ooh-wee.
Yeah.
Nasty.
Yeah, that's exciting. It's fun to think about that.
Yeah, sorry. I promise you that the coaches have been scouting New Mexico more than us. I do have an in-depth preview. We're going to have tons of preview stuff that comes out. But for this game, I don't know that the opponent matters as much as what Michigan does, right? So, okay. What I want to see is the JJ Hawaii game.
Yep.
I want to see Bryce put on a show to an extent. They don't got to get reckless. I want the offense to go out there and execute and get better. You need to get better every single week. Okay. But give the fans what they paid for. Let Bryce throw a couple of shots. I want to see if that timing does exist with Donovan McCulley, or maybe it is Channing Goodwin now. I want to see it a little bit. Okay. It's okay. And this defense looking like they haven't missed a beat. Yep. That's a big thing for me. Again, I know it's New Mexico, but even in getting in and off the field, the play calls coming in, the logistics of it. And that might be the biggest piece too that we have not talked about a ton this offseason. Sharon Moore made some first-year head coach mistakes last year.
Mm-hmm.
Bad challenges, calling timeout 20 seconds later than he should have.
Yep.
That game management piece. I know it's week 1. Maybe I don't want to see something happen that's going to be like, haha, it's better. But, man, don't do something where I'm like, oh, is this going to be a problem again? What are some things you hope to see or you think you might see that kind of realm?
One thing I'm really looking to see, and I kind of already touched on this with the right guard battle, is the offensive line. I mean, this is still Michigan football, even though the top ranked recruit in the country is now playing quarterback. It's still Michigan football. Everyone knows that running the ball is going to be a priority, and the offensive line is the heartbeat of the football team. And with Sharon Moore being a former offensive lineman, it's like his baby, right? It's what he cares about most. And so
Rock the baby.
everything is going to run through the offensive line. And if they struggle a little bit and the running game can't get going, then it's going to be harder for Underwood in the passing game to be able to execute, right? And if they can't protect Underwood, then that's when things are really going to get off the rails, right? And so I think offensive line is what I'm going to be looking for most, not only with that battle between Norton and Afobe, but just the unit as a whole, right? If Michigan's ripping off consistently 6, 7, 8-yard runs and they're plowing their way down the field, that'll open up the passing game more for Underwood to be able to pick apart the defense. If they can protect Underwood, give him a clean pocket, give him a good 3-4 seconds to throw the ball, then things are going to work out well. So that's probably at the top of my list, apart from Underwood himself. Of course, everyone's going to be there to see what 19 can do, right? But it's all going to run through the offensive line. So that's what I'm going to be paying attention to on Saturday.
It's going to be like fireworks. Like when he does throw a deep ball, like you're going to hear the, oh,
Yeah.
where they like everyone's going to be, every time he drops back, you're going to hear like the, of the, the crowd breathe in, right? Like, Jaden Davis getting some snaps as well. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have known, but I caused an unbelievable stir because one of the Michigan clips, you could see Jaden Davis throw, and I cut the clip showing how long his motion still is and why I had some concerns about that. We talked about coming out of the spring game. I don't want to hang on this too much, but that like sometimes he's got that short compact throw, but then sometimes under pressure, he kind of reverts back to that. Good Lord. People wrote articles about it in some of the comments. I had a couple people send me a clip from a shall not be named Ohio State show with one of their people that has been outcast but has an Ohio State show. They do the same thing every time. They talk about me. They use me to like program their show and then tell me they have no idea who I am.
Right.
Every single time. I have no idea who this guy is. Well, yes, you do. You're constantly sending people to my notifications, which, hey, my Twitter goes up a few nickels every time. I appreciate that, I guess, but it's just so funny. No idea who this guy is. What an idiot. But anyway, I do want Jaden Davis to be rewarded for staying. And I think he knows long term his opportunity to start will probably be elsewhere. But he's been such a team guy, and I think so smart. He could have bolted after a year, and then where does he go? Right now, he's going to spend some time. He can learn from Bryce. He can be at Michigan and developed at Michigan. He can learn from Chip Lindsey and hopefully put some tape out there that helps him. Look, I think most Michigan folks have been very pro Jaden Davis. Like I've defended him a ton. I think he's an incredible kid and leader and hard worker. And I'm not saying it's like, I'm sure they're to a point where, look, it is what it is, and they're going to deal with it a little bit. I'm not saying he's unplayable. There were some people that put some really, really unnecessarily harsh criticism on him. I just don't want him to drop back and we see a strip sack because he's holding that ball straight behind him. That's all.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's, would you like to see him get some reps? Yeah. But at the same time,
well, I hope that means it's 49-0 in the third quarter.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But even still, I feel like you have to get Bryce as many game reps as possible before you go into a huge matchup the following weekend against Oklahoma, right? Like if Michigan's up by, let's say the offense does click, everything clicks, they're up by 5 touchdowns at halftime, it's 35-0. Are you comfortable going into Oklahoma with Underwood having only a half of football under his belt, even if it was a really good half?
True.
I'm not. So you'd like to see Davis get in the game, but
I keep bringing up the JJ Hawaii game because he had like 3, I don't remember how many touchdowns and yards, but I think it was only 12 pass attempts. But they were all like big plays. So.
Yeah, you're right. But I struggle to see it. If they didn't even put Jaden Davis in the game in last year's ReliaQuest Bowl when Michigan could literally do nothing through the air, I just don't know when the right time is going to be. And they've given him his credit. They've said he's had a really, really good fall camp and has improved a ton since then. But if it wasn't in that game, I don't know what game it's going to be in.
But to be fair, right now, Jake Garcia has done well in camp. I mean, he's only been here 3 weeks. He's behind on some of the playbook stuff. Mikey Keene is throwing, but still limited. It's a type of injury where like he's at that point now where he could be better tomorrow. It could be another couple of weeks. It's that recovery, like after a full practice, how does he feel the next day? We don't know when Mikey Keene, because Mikey Keene's going to be the backup when that time comes, most likely. But when will he be a reliable backup? We don't know. They might need Jaden Davis. That's realistic at this point, right? So I wish Keene had been healthy, 1, for the backup, and 2, I think Bryce would have won anyway.
Yeah.
Like I don't think a lot of people are saying that, but that narrative, it would have just been great that like he didn't win by default because he didn't, kind of thing. But
right.
Anyway, thanks for stopping in, you loser. Have nothing better to do. I can't imagine like going into an Ohio State show I just, so bizarre to me. Anyway, we debuted it last week. I'm excited to say it's back. Our football neck of the week brought to you by Circuit City. This was an easy choice. He's been the star of the show, arguably. It's your wide receiver 2/3, Channing Goodwin. I did not realize until I started looking at some recent pictures. As a recruit, he had kind of a long neck, but he's got that football neck going.
Yep.
You can see it right there.
Good.
I think I have a better picture as well, because this series has to be as creepy as possible. There you go.
Oh, wow.
Now, in all seriousness, we've talked about the dude physically has transformed this offseason, and that's played into a big part of his role. But he's going to be successful because he's got that football neck.
That's right.
Brought to you by Circuit City. Channing Goodwin joins Jordan Marshall, football neck of the week. There's an obvious one on this team, and I'm saving it because I think he's going to score a touchdown this year, and then I'm going to show it because the football neck of the week. Once I show him, I don't know if I can beat it. There's an obvious candidate on this team, so we'll see. All right, football neck, sponsored by Circuit City. Yeah. Anyone not in the joke has to be like, what the hell are they talking about? Yeah. So good. All right. Okay, you guys know the drill. Thank you so much if you've been here live, taking part in the conversation. We appreciate you. If you're watching back on playback, listening on podcast, that was weird. Go to YouTube, like, subscribe, notification bell so you know when we go live. You can be a part of the show, or you can join Dennis as well when he's live on Good Afternoon Michigan. We're interactive, man. We talk with you guys, not at you. We want you to be a part of it. Also, head over to Maize Blue Review. We're on 3 now, which means every week you get something new for your subscription. But all the college sports coverage at the top. Josh Pate is part of our team now, too. It's kind of crazy. But everything that comes with On 3, and then Rivals. Shannon Terry has revived his baby, is now the home of high school recruiting and high school sports coverage. You get everything national, everything Michigan, all of our premium content, and then, of course, access to the Den, our message board community that we're pretty proud of. And, again, some of the folks in here can speak to it as well. Guys, it's $1. Join for a week. Come in the Den. Ask our subscribers, hey, is this place worth it? See what they say. Don't buy it from me. We'd appreciate it. We'll have the preview content coming up, more and more intel as they practice throughout the week. And then, man, it's football.
Yep.
I can't believe it. It really did go fast this year.
It did.
Went really fast.
The summer flew by.
I kind of hate it.
Yeah.
Kind of hate it. Kid goes back to school Wednesday. Don't hate that. It's time. He's so excited. He's so excited. Yeah. His second grade teacher this year was actually a student teacher in kindergarten, and they adore each other. And when he saw it was her, they were just so happy to see each other. And his principal and everybody, he's happy to see his people. I think it's absolutely insane. He's one of the kids. They go back Wednesday, Thursday, and then he gets a 4-day weekend because of Labor Day.
That's weird.
I don't get it. I don't know why they do it, but whatever. Did you give me a prediction?
Huh?
Did you give me a prediction on the game?
I did not. No, I hadn't thought too much about it.
Go.
I'll say
go.
I'll say Michigan wins 34-7.
34-7.
34-7.
Zavada-matic, 2 field goals. That's fair.
Right.
I could see that. I want to shut out so bad.
I think it's possible, but I know how these games go. Michigan will probably carry a shot in the last 5 minutes, and then New Mexico will somehow stumble into the end zone.
Just don't kick the James Franklin field goal. Oh, so sad. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us again. Like, subscribe. Make sure you get notified when we go live again. We will try to go live every Sunday at 7. We knew there would be some news today, so it made sense to go Monday and then decide to wait for the Inside Michigan show to end. So, but like I said, hopefully we'll see you next Sunday. We'll be talking, hopefully a Michigan win, got a loss, and that the narrative of this season changes completely.
That'd be quite the show on Sunday.
Yeah, God, that would be. But yeah, we'll be back Sunday talking Michigan football, game 1 recap, and then looking ahead, road trip to Norman, night game, Oklahoma, Bryce Underwood, his team, big test coming up shortly. So thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next time. Hail to the podcast.